Hello. Oh my goodness. No, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. This is Off the Record, a podcast with Ashton, and I am back. Oh my goodness. It has been a long journey to be back in this seat. I just want to say before we go any further, please make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe so you're notified. Oh, and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we drop a video, because this will not be the last. This is just the beginning. I just want to say that it has been 3 years since I have actually done this podcast, and it's been an interesting thing. You know, this is literally a full circle moment, in my honest opinion, to get back here to this seat in front of you guys. Like I said, it's been 3 years since I posted the first video on YouTube, and my first episode period was actually released March 25th, 2022. So a lot has gone down. And in the interim, you know, I really want to acknowledge and take a little bit of time also as I'm starting this to really acknowledge and shout out a lot of people that have really been there for me, have poured into my cup, and have acknowledged me and acknowledged the podcast, you know, while I've been gone. I do actually have a list. I got some cards like a real fucking professional talk show host. Okay, bitch, don't play with me. But I do want to go ahead and just start with those lists. So this is the list. Mom, my mother, Candace Martin, my father, David Jackson, my brother, Austin, Alyssa, my sister, Devin, my nephew, Connor, my niece, Kennedy Logan. I love y'all. Imani, Landon, Katie, my aunt Mary, my aunt Nitty, and my uncle Reggie and my uncle Galen. I just want to say first and foremost to my family, thank you guys so much for encouraging me and really pouring into me and letting me know that anything is capable as long as I put my mind to it and I keep God first. You know, that has been a big help for me. You know, the last time you guys actually saw me, I was shooting an episode about my cousin. My cousin Jaden had tragically passed away. And after that, you know, I went through a real tough period. You know, I was very hurt. And when I shot the episode, actually, I didn't really go into detail about how hurt I was. I really kind of kept it very kosher. You know, I felt like I couldn't make it about me. You know, he had a mother, he had a father, he had a brother who was grieving. And I felt like it would be selfish of me to take that moment and try to turn and make my pain seem worse or more extreme than theirs. But as I look back, I really regret that. Because I really was in pain, and I should have been able to acknowledge that this is my platform, this is my podcast, so it should be my perspective and my voice. And so this time around, I definitely don't want to mince words. I don't want to second guess myself. I don't want to backtrack on anything. I want to stay true to me. So again, to my family, I want to say thank you so much for really riding with me and supporting me and giving me loving, encouraging words, even some tough love sometimes. Shit, I need that too, baby. And then also to my other people, Amanda, Robert, my brother Colin, Tyreek, Nestor, Zach, Sharella, Val, Cameron, Maya, Rainbow, Alex, Chaz, my bestie, Courtney, my bestie, Michaela, both Jazzes, Jordan, Seven, Tyler, Brian, Jimmy, Jessica. I could keep going, but I'm not. I want to say thank you all to you guys too, you know, especially in the last year. I picked up another job, so I've been working 2 jobs, a very hectic, crazy ass schedule, working 7 days a week, no days off. And I lost my mind a few fucking times along that journey. You know, it was not easy. It has not been nice, but it's been what I needed. You know, I actually was having a conversation with a guy, Seven, who works at my second job. I don't think I can actually say where I work, so I'm not going to. But, you know, I remember I was kind of talking to him and telling him I felt like I wasted a lot of time. I was like, damn, you know, I feel like this year, all I did was work. All I did was just work. I didn't have any other like outlet, any other way to express myself. And he reassured me that no, that was not wasted time. He said, you were building your story. And I want to say to anybody really that is trying to fight back to get back to their seat, so to speak, that you're just building your story, and maybe your story is not complete. And mine's not complete yet, but it's building, and it's actually at a better place than it was. So again, to all those people and to the other ones, my work families, I want to say thank you. So what has really happened during my hiatus? It really really has been a bunch of shit. It's been good shit. It's been bad shit. I've been fucking. I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff. But we're not even going to talk about that right now. We're going to get into like the meat and the potatoes. I really want to say like the things that actually I think like benefited me and helped me grow, or the things I actually really want to talk about. So the first thing I will say is my brother. And this actually might make me very emotional. So I do have tissue. My brother and I's relationship got mended last year, and it was honestly one of the greatest things I think I've ever done in my entire life. For many, many years when we were younger, my brother and I, we were super, I won't say we were super close, but we were close. You know, we were a tight-knit family. It was us three kids, me, my brother, and my sister. And as we got older, you know, just typical things like he started getting into bad habits. He started kind of messing around with the wrong crowd. And I did not want to go down that route. I kind of purposefully segregated myself away from him. So I did not go down that route. And I was kind of disappointed, honestly, in a lot of the choices that he was making. But in a nutshell, it drew a big wedge in between us. You know, there was many, many years of us not talking, of us not spending time together, of us not sharing, of us not getting to know each other. And I really actually regret that. Honestly, now looking back, I regret so much time that passed, you know, and I didn't really get to know my brother. But he did go to prison. When he got out of prison is really when we had the talk. And that talk, I had to be ready for that talk, if I'm being completely honest. Years prior, I probably wouldn't have been able to face it. I probably wouldn't have been able to face him because in a lot of ways, he was a bully to me. And I don't say this to bash my brother because I absolutely love my brother, but I'm just being honest. He was very harsh to me growing up. And in his perspective, it was him just trying to toughen me up, solid me up or whatever. But it really had a adverse effect in my opinion. It made me really resent him. It made me really hate him, if I can even say that. I think hate is maybe a strong word, but, you know, strong dislike, a very strong dislike. But, after he got out of prison, well, when he first initially went to prison, you know, one big thing for me was to really rally my family together. You know, I took a lot of time building those relationships back with my sister and my mom and my dad. And that was amazing. Like that time was so amazing because it was really like learning each other all over again. So in like our adult years, and it was really awesome. And I have such a close knit relationship with him now because of all of that work that I put in and that we built together. But when my brother got out, I was so nervous. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know how to approach him. I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't know how he was going to approach me. I didn't know if he was going to be the same guy, if he was different, if he had changed, if he had reverted to old ways. I was lit in my head so much about it. But he got released to my mom's house, actually, on probation. And when I went there to my mom's house and I first initially opened the door and he was there, you know, I think in a lot of ways, all the shit that I had gone through leading up into that moment really had strengthened me to be able to have that conversation with him. So actually that fear or that nervousness, I didn't really have it when I seen him. I really like looked at him. I was like, okay, like this is my brother and we're going to really tackle this. So later on that night, you know, all my family was there, my dad, my mom, my sister, the kids, everything. So later on that night, me and my brother, we stowed away to the garage and we genuinely had a really good conversation. The conversation was about a lot. It was about a lot of pain. It was about a lot of things that we had gone through and separately and together, you know, and it really explained a lot of his backstory to me, and why he operated in the way that he did. And that motherfucker was mean, but it made me learn a lot about him. And in the midst of all of that, when I came in the house, we sat down on the couch and we actually had another conversation. And that really is kind of the point of today for me. It is to free myself from the pain, from the worry, from the fear of being truth. Or living in my truth and having my truth. He came in, we sat down, and he turned to me and he said, "Can I ask you a question?" And he said, "And please be honest with me." And He asked a question. I was honest with them, and then we moved on. But again, that really is the point of today, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody watches Stranger Things, but if you watch the final season, and we are going to talk about Stranger Things because, bitch, I love Stranger Things. But if you watch the final season, in episode 4, you saw that Will had to accept himself to finalize and actualize his powers. And my whole entire life, I've spent a great deal hiding, being afraid, being fearful of people's perceptions, of people's judgments, of people's opinions. And I let that control me for so long in my life. And, at this chapter, I am 30 years old now. I have lived through much. I have seen a lot. I've experienced just as much. And I don't have that fear anymore. I'm really, truly at a place in my life where I just genuinely want to be free and be happy to be me. So I say all of that to say, I guess it's probably like the worst kept secret in the world. But I do want to acknowledge here on this podcast that yes, I am gay. And I do like men's. I don't like no women's. They can be my sisters. They can be my homegirls, but we're not doing that. But, and that seems so small to some, I think, but it means so much to me. And it's so big to me because, like I said, my whole entire life, growing up in a small town in Paris, Texas, I was so fearful of like that small town mentality and, walking around. And also I will say my family came from like a pretty predominant religious background. My grandfather was a pastor of the biggest Black church in our city or in our town. And so I felt like it carried a lot, and I was so fearful. I was fearful of my family turning their back on me. I was fearful of, my sister, when she eventually had kids, I was fearful of my sister not wanting to have her kids around me. I was fearful of, I don't know, my mom kicking my ass out. I don't know. There was a story I did remember when I was younger. This girl, I don't want to say her name, but this young lady, she did come out to her mom. And I remember the next day at school, she came in, the bitch was on crutches. She had a black eye, a swollen lip. And I was just like, yeah, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. And so I kept that. And think about this. Like, I'm 30 years old now, right? My entire life walking around, you're in your normal day, so I'm working, I'm doing my shit, but never really truly living or standing in your authentic truth, and this podcast started about being in your truth and living in your truth. And even listening to like prior episodes, I can look back and say, yes, I was truthful. Sure. I was a little truthful, but was I really like my most authentic self? Probably not. And I think it's easy to say those type of things of living your truth and be authentic to yourself and know your power and trust in your gut and all that shit. But do people really live by that shit? You know what I mean? Like, do people really live by that? And so I think this really is my moment of saying, well, I am going to live by that. I can't sit here and acknowledge or preach to everybody about being, truthful and, accepting yourself if I haven't quite done that myself. And again, it's a big uphill battle for me on that too, growing up being scared, and I truly just want to be free in this chapter of my life. And I just hope that everybody who's along this journey with me also hears this and applies it to their own life, and know that you do have the power. You do not have to be confined or bound by what society or what somebody else's perception is going to be. Whenever you truly step into your power, I think that's when all the great things really start opening up for you. That's when God really will bestow all the blessings that are for you and that are for your life and for your family in your presence. And I really will say, since I've really started kind of walking in my truth here lately, I really feel like a lot of the doors are opening up. Yeah, bitch, I'm back here. And I was so scared. Bitch, let me say this. I was so scared about really acknowledging that. Well, I won't say scared. Let me stop saying scared. Maybe I was a little nervous about truly acknowledging this. Just in my head, sometimes bitch, being in your head can be your own worst enemy too. Being in your head so much about like, oh my God, like, is this going to come out right? Will I say this right? But you know what? The thing is, just do. Just fucking do. Just get out here and fucking do. 2026 is already starting off crazy. We got fucking Donald stupid ass Trump. And I am going to get into politics on this podcast too. I'm sorry. This is something that I love. So I will give my perception. I will give my perspective. But we got like the world is crumbling around us. And it's like literally all we can do is just rely on each other and rely on our communities. But again, you have to show up. You have to show up, and showing up doesn't mean just being there. It means showing up showing up authentically as yourself. And that is what I plan on doing this year. I really, really hope that this maybe touches somebody too, that's maybe sitting at home, that's watching this and is afraid and is scared of, again, the perception or the outside noise. Silence that noise, find your true peace, your true self, and lead with that. Lead with love. Like when I sat down with my family and I kind of came out, because I kind of came out to everybody a little bit separately, and it was years in between, which is probably crazy as fuck. But my sister was first. So she was super understanding and she was super supportive, and that made me feel good. Then my mom was second. I actually talked to my mom about it because I was actually dating this guy at this time. And I was like, well, damn, I'm going to have to fucking say something. I'm going to have to say something. Like, it's just not going to make no sense. I'm just walking around with this motherfucking man. Like, I'm going to have to say something. And so I actually, funny enough, my nephew, he was a preemie baby and he had a 24-hour nurse care. The nurse, Tia, shout out to Tia, again, changed my life completely as well. Shout out to Tia, but Tia is her name. Was one of his nurses, and she also had a gay son. And I remember just hearing how she would speak about him, how she would mention him, and how she really bragged on him, and didn't really acknowledge, not in a bad way, but didn't really acknowledge the fact that he was gay as like a gotcha or something like that. And I just remember I actually came out to her, and I remember telling her, I was dating this guy, and I really wanted to explain it and come out to my mom, and would she be there with me to essentially hold my hand and walk down this journey with me? And she did. And I remember sitting in the car with my mom, and my mom was nervous. I think like she did cry. And she said she was just kind of nervous for the unknown. And that was okay for me. I'm just glad that she did kind of come around, you know what I mean? Like she was, and I think that's a rightful thing. She didn't really know how it was going to pan out for me. She didn't really know if people would attack me, if things would be bad, if I would get bullied, things like that. And I think that's just a mother's love, that protective. She wants to protect her cubs, and I appreciate that in the long run. Then it was my brother. So again, think of like that. My brother just came home maybe a year ago. So think of the gap in that. Like I think I told my mom when I was like 22, and then my brother 2 years ago. So there's a big ass gap. But in that time, I had to really come to terms with myself and get the balls and the courage to step up to my brother, because again, I had so much built up with my brother, talk to my brother. And, again, we sat down on the couch and he turned to me. He said, I have a question for you. I already kind of knew, like, if you're a gay kid, you kind of already know when somebody starts with that shit of like, I have a question. You already know what the fuck the question's about to be. And I was like, okay. I was like, go ahead. And he was like, and you got to be honest. And I was like, okay. And then he did ask the question, are you gay? And I said, yes. And then we went into more detail, of course, but I really appreciate my brother being supportive to me as well. I think in a lot of ways, I should have probably been the mature one to maybe try to come to him and talk to him about everything. But I really just put a wedge in between us. And I so regret that in a lot of ways. But I mean, now we're good now. Like we talk all the time. Well, I won't say talk all the time because that nigga be getting on my nerves too. But we talk, and I love him. I do love him, and I'm very happy for him in that he's wanting to move forward in his life and everything. But especially after prison. But that nigga, he was a handful. Fear took me so long. And I think that sounds so crazy probably to people. It's like fear, but fear really can stop you in your tracks on a lot of shit. And I think I was so fearful. Because again, like as I explained, like I grew up in a super religious family. So I was so fearful of like, if they would not like me, if they would disown me, if they were not pleased. And I think that held me captive. And then it was that probably on top of getting bullied at school too, because being bullied at school, I think I was trying to figure out if I was gay, but I felt like I could connect to women because they were more emotional like me. So I could connect to them better and they didn't judge me. Like, whereas a man, I felt like always looked at me like if I was a little more flamboyant than them, then it was a problem. Then you automatically are ruled gay. But I didn't know at that time. I didn't know. I was trying to figure it the fuck out. Like, bitch, I didn't know, because when you're a kid, I think you know feelings, but you don't have the language for the feelings. And I knew the feelings that I had, but I didn't have the language. And growing up in the Christian family that I was in, we didn't talk about gays. We didn't talk about lesbians. We didn't talk about any of that shit. I never really knew, not that I didn't know what it was, but not really. I mean, I really didn't, because that was not like a common conversation that we were having at the fucking dinner table. Bitch, we didn't even eat dinner together. So, so we weren't having no dinner table conversations to begin with, but that definitely wouldn't have been one of them. I will say though, it was like, I think, okay, I can say like a time though that I kind of started knowing a little bit. Oh, no, I don't want to say. See, and that's why I feel bad, because I feel like I'm editing myself too bad. But, bitch, I don't want to give all my tea. But, bitch, I was doing some shit online, and I guess I'll say I was watching some porn one time, and I got caught watching the porn. And I think that's kind of when I started knowing. And that might have been maybe like 12, 13. But I think 12 and 13 is kind of when you start acknowledging sexuality in itself anyways. You start getting a little horny, you get a little hair on your balls, and you start, feeling yourself, So I think, about 12, 13 is when I really knew that I was kind of into men. And maybe at the time too, I was thinking I was bisexual also. So I was kind of like in between that. But I don't really think I want to settle down with a woman. I could probably fuck a woman, but I don't know if I want to necessarily settle down with a woman. I think I want a man. I think I want a man that's going to do some shit around the house, and let me sit down. But well, I guess we'll do it together. We're both men. But, but yeah, I think about 12, 13 is when I really started realizing that I was gay. And yes, it was kind of sketchy too, because my brother found the porn on the damn website and told my mama, and then I had to kind of just be like, well, I was just looking. I was just experimenting. I didn't know. That nigga, he had it out for me at an early age. And funny enough, my dad was last. I really don't know why my dad was last, because me and my dad talk all the fucking time, but he was the last one I told. I think my dad was more hurt that I told him last, and we do talk all the time. But then also, in my motherfucking opinion, they never asked me. That's really what got me. It's like, okay, sure, I never said nothing, but why the fuck y'all didn't ask? Like, we've been going around, walking around each other all this fucking time. Y'all not curious of who I'm hunching? We know who my sister hunching. We know who my brother hunching. Who y'all don't give a fuck about me? So I was so curious about that too, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can take some ownership in that shit. You know what I mean? But bitch, it ain't all on me. Like, I ain't the only motherfucker in here. And I think for me, coming out to my dad, it was so significant only because, I don't know, I guess you have this image of like black men and like black fathers, and like they want their sons. And my dad has actually talked about this before, like with me. And again, he didn't know I was a little sweet at the time, but he didn't know. But he was saying, like, once he dies, like, he won't have anybody like carry on his last name and like his legacy and like all that shit. And like, I understand. I do get it. I do get it. But it ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me, baby. It's not gonna be me. I don't even know if I fucking want kids, but I think my dad shocked me the most though, just because, again, I thought he would kind of have a different reaction. Like, I wanted some, like, I don't know. I was ready for any damn thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for like some cussing, some fucking body shaking, something. And he just was kind of just like, okay, okay. Like, why are you just not telling me now? And I was like, well, just because I feel comfortable to tell you now. And that was silly though. That was really silly, because like me and my dad talk all the fucking time. So there was really no reason. But that's what I go back to what I just said. Why the fuck y'all didn't ask me? Like, literally, me and my dad would be on the phone for like hours at a time, like 3-4 fucking hours. Nigga, you could have asked me. You could have literally just as simple as said, well, who are you dating? Because you're telling me, he telling me about all the, I was about to say all the hoes, but he telling me about all the women that he is dating. And yeah, so we're talking about you, but you're not curious. Like, you don't even have one particular question for me. So I think they knew. If I'm being honest, I think they knew. Like I said, it's probably the worst kept secret. I'm pretty sure they knew, but they were like afraid to ask me. My mom said, I actually will say, my mom did say, I was waiting on you to feel comfortable to tell me. And I was like, okay, well, you could have started it and we could have had the conversation a lot earlier. But I honestly, if I really think about it though, I don't think I would have been honest. Yeah, like old me, I don't think I would have been honest. I would have been so scared. My family gets on my motherfucking nerves. I'm sure like everybody's family does though. My mom, I love my mom. I love my sister. I'm just so thankful that they accept me though. If anything, I'm just very grateful that they have really had my back and they will continue to have my back and ride for me, and that me coming out doesn't change the love that we have and that we've built, because it does for some people. I will say that it does for some people. So I love that. And I'm just grateful. Honestly, I'm grateful for all this shit. I'm grateful to even be back doing this podcast, because it's taken me a lot to get back here. Like, a lot of what did you say? You said self-sabotage. We had a lot of self-sabotage in the mix. We had a lot of undermining my own talent, undermining my own abilities, undermining, what I want out of life, being confused about what path I want to take in my life. And I think God truly was nudging me the entire time, because even in the time that I have not done this, people have still come up to me. Are you still doing the podcast? What's going on with the podcast? Where is the podcast? What's going on with the podcast? Like, I literally have never been able to get away from it because people have continuously asked about it. So I always took that as like, that's a sign from God. That is a sign from God to get back to doing what truly is for me. And I really believe that this is my thing. And I love my thing. I love my thing. Okay. I ain't the only motherfucker in this bitch. Like, please let me know something. But I want to say again, thank you to them for accepting me. And then once I got their acceptance, honestly and truthfully, I was okay. I was okay to sit here in this chair and live in my truth and accept my truth. And it's been a rocky journey. Again, there's been good, there's been bad, it's been ups, it's been downs, it's been a whole bunch of shit to get me here. But I'm truly at a place in my life now where I have no fear. I have absolutely no fear. I have nothing to lose. I have my family support. I got my friends support. Bitch, I'm invincible around this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And I hope you feel the same way. I hope this message resonates with somebody out there, even if you're not gay, because everybody ain't gay. But even if you're not gay, maybe it's finding the truth in your passion. Maybe it's finding the truth in, what you feel called to do, who you want to be with. I mean, I don't know, where you want to move, anything. I hope you find your gem in this bullshit and just live unapologetically, live freely, live unabashed. I don't even know if that's a fucking word, but we're going to make it a word today. Live just recklessly and challenge the people around you to also do the same. I think that's also important, to have good people in your corner that's going to keep you consistent and keep you authentic. I guess what I want people to take from this go around is what I said, is being authentic to themselves. And I want to show the power maybe of authenticity, and how, even compared to like my first go round, how now you can see how I'm just able to like do it without the fear. And even, okay, one specific thing I actually thought about too is when I first shot my very first episode, I wore glasses, and a lot of people came to me and asked me about the damn glasses. Now, I am a nigga that will wear sunglasses in a building. I don't give a fuck if it goes with the fit, baby. The fit is going to stay on point. But I didn't even acknowledge, or I didn't think about it at the time, but now looking back at it, I think I literally wore the glasses because it was another form of protection. I was scared. I was taking a step and a leap into this thing I had never done before. I had never been on camera talking about, myself and my life and what the fuck is going on. So I was fearful. And those glasses offered me another seal of protection. But look right now, bitch, I ain't got no glasses on. I ain't got no, because I just genuinely don't feel that fear. So I feel like hopefully this go around, I do want people to really understand themselves, and I guess I can show it better than I can tell you, and that's what I even want to get out of it this time around. I want to just be myself and not be afraid of being myself, and literally throw my personality and everything that makes me into the mix, because I know I'm unique. I know I have energy that not a lot of people have, and I have a vibe. I'm a vibe curator, baby. I am a walking vibe, and I know that, and I'm not afraid to admit that or acknowledge that now at this point in my life. But I hope that I can show people that, like I said, accepting yourself and living in your truth will open up all the right doors and will lead you to wherever you're trying to go. And again, that doesn't mean just always sexuality, because accepting yourself means accepting the flaws, accepting the good parts. Because I got flaws too. I'm not perfect at all. Like, I've hurt people, I've betrayed people, and I do have a very good episode. It's gonna be in March, because I have to tie some loose ends up with somebody. But we're going to get into the nitty gritty of that. And that's going to be a lot too. But I hope I can show people again, the truth of, or the value of being yourself, and letting that showcase through this podcast and really inspiring people. I think that's always been like my motif, is to try to like leave somebody with some inspiration to like apply to their own lives, because I just feel like all we got is each other. You know what I mean? Like, literally all we have is each other. Like I said, the world is fucking crumbling to pieces in front of us. So all you have is community. You got your people, and I'm trying to do better at building a better community. And the only way to build a better community is be yourself. I can't build a community and not be honest. I can't build a community and not be my authentic self, because that's not real. And I think that I've learned that in this break too. Before I close out of this motherfucker though, there is one quote that I did see, and I really think it sums up a lot of this. And it's very simple, but it says, playing it safe keeps you comfortable, not fulfilled. And if anything, if I'm living proof of anything, is to go after everything you want, because it is yours. I am back here. This is just an introductory episode. So bitch, you ain't about to get all the tea right now, but it is about me accepting myself. It is about me standing in my truth. And I will be able to do this, stand in front of you guys, accepting all of me, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. I own it, I accept it, and I acknowledge it. And that's what it is. So I hope you do the same. I want to say thank you to everybody. And I mean, literally, thank you to everybody who has stuck by me, even in this little 3-year hiatus from doing this podcast. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much. And again, I am not afraid. I am not in fear. So bitch, we're about to run this shit up, and I cannot motherfucking wait. So I want to say thank you again. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves and be fucking awesome. Ooh, peace.